Well, the British GP was definitely one to watch, one that to me was highly interesting. It was also somewhat, I would say, more revealing. What's going on, Randy? More revealing to the problems I think that McLaren have. And it's not performance. It's called fairness. Now, I will say this. I am fully aware, and I think we all are aware, if you watched the race, if you didn't watch the race, it was damn interesting. Congratulations again to Nico Hülkenberg getting his first podium ever in his Formula One career. And I don't want to exaggerate how long Nico's been in Formula One, but I'm pretty sure it's close to 2 decades. I'm not laughing because I'm just saying that it's oddly funny how some people get disrespected for the amount of things that they've accomplished in Formula One with the time they've been in Formula One. And I'm probably over-exaggerating with Nico with 2 decades, but I'm pretty sure it's close. But Nico's been probably, I'm going to say at least 16 seasons. What's going on, DG Big Blue Navy, Dave's Quattro, Sylvia with Kelly, R33, Z33, Stinky One. I'm going to say it's been a while, all right? And this is his first podium ever. He's only got 1 pole position and 2 fastest laps, and he has been in for 15 seasons of Formula One. And this is his first podium ever, all right? Now, a situation took place today with Oscar Piastri, Max Verstappen, and included Lando Norris for receiving the benefits of what I think was a harsh penalty issued by the stewards of the FIA organization. I don't agree with the penalty. If you did want to penalize them, I definitely don't agree with how you penalized them, how harshly you penalized Oscar Piastri and then Max Verstappen basically getting away with overtaking under the safety car. You know, you shouldn't have penalized one and not penalize the other. Oscar does dictate the pace, okay? And we saw, and it's very funny how these situations take place, and then the following week we could usually go, or the previous week we could usually go to a situation that was pretty much so similar. You can't say identical because everything's not identical. I hate when sport commentators say identical. They have identical passing percentage, and it's like 69.1 to 70. That's not identical. All right, they're very similar, very close, but it's not identical. But we already had a situation involving the same person, Max Verstappen, who also in that situation overtook the pace leader. Okay, and he didn't get penalized for that. And here again, Max Verstappen doesn't get penalized for overtaking again under the safety car. And then people are going to say Oscar Piastri got on the brakes. Well, Oscar Piastri dictates what he wants because that's what you earn when you get in that position. However, we're going to look at the document from Oscar Piastri. And here it is right here. And Oscar Piastri, McLaren Formula One 1549, says erratic braking on the straight before turn 15 when safety car lights were extinguished. Okay, so last time I checked, there's not a soft way to get heat into the tires and into the brakes. These are carbon brakes. You're not just going to ride them very slowly and get in there and not come to a stop. You're going to have to be aggressive. You're going to have to stand on it, get on the accelerator, do whatever you got to do. It should be Max Verstappen's knowledge by now, but this is not what he chooses to do. Max Verstappen chooses to do things because he knows he's going to get away with some things. But after Canada, Max Verstappen should be well aware, let me give a bit of space so that if he does brake, I'm not right up in his diffuser or I'm not overtaking him. Okay, that's what he should be doing. I understand you don't want to give up the lead, give up the edge, but Max Verstappen, he's going to gap you anyway. He's been gapping you. So as it sits right here, we got breach of Article 55.15, all right, in the sporting regulation. So we go to the sporting regulation right here, 55.15. It says when the clerks, of course, decides it is safe to call the safety car, the message safety car in this lap will be sent out to all competitors using the official messaging system. Lights will be extinguished. This will be a signal to competitors and drivers that it will be entering the pit lane at the end of the lap. At this point, the first car in line behind the safety car dictate the pace and, if necessary, fall more than 10 car lengths behind it. more than 10 car lengths behind it. He dictates the pace. Okay? Even if people want to say he braked too much, is that worth 10 damn seconds? Is that what you want? If anybody wants to say he might have braked too much or he might have got on the gas too fast, he sets the pace. But even if so, was it worth 10 seconds? And if that is the case, are we not missing some consistency with what happened in Canada, where Russell did not get penalized? Max Verstappen did not get penalized. You don't go from that to this and then all of a sudden lay down a 10-second time penalty. That's crazy. That's crazy. 10 seconds? 10 seconds. That's crazy. So in order to avoid the likelihood of an accident before the safety car returns to the pits from the point at which the lights are turned off, blah, blah, blah. Maneuvers, okay, it says involving no erratic acceleration or braking, nor any other maneuver which is likely in danger of other drivers or impede the restart. Okay, but where's the consistency? We've been seeing this all the time. We can go to a dozen plus races and people are going to try to point out, okay, well, he might have braked too much. He might have braked not enough. It says erratic acceleration or braking, nor any other maneuver which is likely to endanger other drivers. Well, shit, weaving back and forth endangers another driver. This is what they do. This is what they do to prepare to get the most out of the car on a restart. So if that's the case, then I guess all the weaving back and forth, any of the braking up and accelerating, it needs to stop. There needs to go ahead and you need to go ahead and clear this rule up and say, listen, there's no weaving back and forth. You pick a lane, you follow in it, and you stay at a consistent pace until the safety car is in. We're not doing this shit. We're not doing this. Because you clearly should have done this in Canada. You don't leave Canada, no penalty. Red Bull protested, so that means you get another opportunity to look at everything and decide, should we actually issue a penalty here? And you didn't. You need to revise the rule if that's the case. Because this is technically what they have to do to put heat into the tires is erratic anyway. Weaving left and right drastically to get heat in the tires is erratic. You gotta, if you're not going to be able to apply this rule with consistency, as we have seen you not be able to do, because you're bad at enforcing rules, and this is clearly obvious that the FIA are clearly consistent at being inconsistent, you got to revise the rules so that you could do better. Point blank, period. As the rest of this verbiage finishes out, as the safety car is approaching the pit lane road, safety car boards will withdraw and on other than last lap, sprint sessions, blah, blah, blah. The other part of the document will state here that they are going by the ISC of 2.10.15 appendix hotel or hilo. All right, that's what they're going by. So if we go and take a look at that regulation, at that rule, we'll come here. 2:10:15, when the clerk of the course calls in the safety car, its orange lights will be extinguished. This will be a signal that it will be entering the pit lane and end of the lap. At this point, the first car behind the safety car may dictate the pace and, if necessary, fall more than 5 car lengths behind in order to avoid the likelihood of an accident before the safety car returns to the pit lane. From the point at which the lights on the car extinguish, drivers must proceed at the pace which involves no erratic acceleration, braking, or any other maneuver that is likely to endanger other drivers or impede the restart. Okay. I'm going to tell you, I'm not on board with the 10-second. I'm really damn near not on board with a penalty. I'm on board with maybe a reprimand. I'm not on board with a 10-second penalty. That completely flips the race results in which Oscar Piastri truly earned. You understand me? Oscar Piastri earned winning this race today, and he's only not the winner because the FIA inconsistently always enforce rules, especially to the harshest ability when it's not Max Verstappen. So I got to ask you something. When does it come a point where you say, you know what, Max, you overtook the leading car in Canada. Here it is again. You're overtaking Oscar Piastri in the Britain GP. Okay, we're going to penalize Oscar. This is something you've done twice. You better figure out a way not to do it. I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. But let me tell you the most egregious thing. Let me tell you the most egregious thing about this. The most egregious thing is Zach Brown. That's the most egregious thing about today. It's Zach Brown. The FIA, we know, has been corrupt. We know they've been inconsistent. We know they don't enforce their rules correctly. We know that they don't feel the need to have a consistent body govern the sport without being voluntary. This is part of the problem. And all I'm saying is, if you're going to penalize Oscar Piastri, it's a little confusing why you didn't penalize George Russell. If you're going to penalize Max Verstappen, it's a little confusing why you didn't penalize him as harsh as you did the other drivers in this same race where he was penalized 5 seconds or something. You handed other drivers 10-second penalties. It's a little confusing why we're going to come into this race with Kimi Antonelli, which should have been a racing incident, with a grid drop in the following race instead of maybe a time-second penalty in that current race dropping his position. Why? Because it wouldn't hurt him so much. But we've seen you do that to Max Verstappen. All I'm saying is Max get a lot of favoritism. All I'm saying is the FIA is a bit inconsistent. But Zach Brown, what I am saying to you is you have no area, no document in here where you launched an appeal. Not even an attempt to decrease the penalty. No appeal. Red Bull at least I know I'm not a Red Bull fan. After so many things that Red Bull's done as an organization, as a platform, with the racial incidents, with the blackface incident, with the disrespecting of their cultural lines when they said bombs are made here, zoo animals come from here, with all the racial shit that they've had happen in their organization, with the dumb buffoonery things Max Verstappen has said and done, with his criminal manslaughter, attempted murder of damn dad being in the paddock. I'm not a Red Bull fan. There's a lot of reasons why I'm not a Red Bull fan. But I will say this. They're good at pit stops. They're good at trying to make the most out of strategy. And they will launch appeals. They will go to bat for a driver. Zach Brown didn't go to bat for Oscar Piastri. And to me, it's questionable. Because I got to wonder, Zach, if the driver that benefited from the situation that occurred with Oscar Piastri was not Lando Norris, would we then see Zach Brown and McLaren launching an appeal? I think so. I think they would. I mean, you clearly said it on your post-race that it wasn't fair. You clearly said it in your post-race interview. You thought it was harsh. Well, if you say it isn't fair, and you're all about fairness, and you thought it was harsh, and you're supposed to be a hard-ass type different dude, team principal, why was there not an appeal launched in attempt to resolve what you thought was harsh and unfair? You want to know why? Because you're catering and you're pandering to Lando Norris. McLaren did not launch an appeal for Oscar Piastri because they did not want to risk an appeal being approved and therefore the time penalty being removed, and then that would swap the winning. Oscar Piastri would be the official winner of the British GP and Lando Norris would get his taken away from him. And we all know that happens to Lando. He's going to cry in his room for about 5 days. He's going to go into some mental drowning and it's going to be a problem. You can't protect him. Well, you can. Obviously, you are. But it's only going to go so far. It's only going to go so far. Because Lando clearly was getting his ass beat. Lando was not there for that. This was going to be an Oscar Piastri Australian winning in the British GP, for sure. So it is egregious that McLaren didn't launch an appeal. I don't believe they're two number one drivers and we're gonna let them fight fairly and we're gonna treat them both the same. Nah, bro. And I want you all to understand, I'm not with. Hey, Pia, that's my dog. He been my dog since his rookie season. Before that, I like Piastri. Coming up before he got to Formula One, I like Piastri. When he was with Alpine, I like Piastri. When he did what he did with Alpine after they tried to try to coax him into some bullshit position, I like Piastri. But I will say this. I was not on board with Piastri asking for the positions to be swapped. I'm cool, but you know what Piastri does? Piastri comes back, and he's still the cool motherfucker that he is. He admitted that wasn't the right thing to say on the radio. Lando didn't do anything wrong because he didn't. Lando Norris didn't do anything wrong. Lando Norris was just the benefit of a harsh situation, and truly he didn't earn it, but he got it. He was there, but he had to be there in order to get it, right? If Lando's not there behind Oscar, he doesn't get it. Hulk gets it, and then Hamilton's on the podium, which nobody's going to be mad about that either, but that's a different conversation for later on this week about Ferrari. So he apologized. You know, he said, hey, and that's what I like about Oscar Piastri. He's a solid driver. And even in the moment when they told him he had a 10-second time penalty, you didn't hear him cursing on the radio. You didn't hear him going about. You heard him later on ask for strategic information so they can continue to perform well to the end of the race. Oscar Piastri is the better driver at McLaren. Oscar Piastri is the stronger mental fortitude driver at McLaren. Oscar Piastri is the driver that has the most upside and highest ceiling at McLaren. Oscar Piastri is still in the leader of the Drivers' Championship. McLaren have one hell of a driver pairing. But for McLaren not to launch an appeal, you're messing with the wrong guy. Oscar Piastri is going to see through the bullshit. He already sees through the bullshit. And the fact that you didn't even try to launch an appeal is not going to sit well with him, and it looks very bad to me. The appeal might have very well been rejected on verbiage in the rules and the guidelines that would have further proved the penalty being harsh, but the infringement being fair. And I still would have been okay with that. But what I'm not okay with is you didn't even damn try. You didn't even try. You just let the shit slide. And that's what I can't let slide. So not only that, he got a 10-second time penalty and 2 penalty points on his license. 2 penalty points on his license. Yo, I'm trying to tell y'all right now, Max Verstappen should have got a penalty for overtaking in Canada. Max Verstappen should have had some type of verbiage or document for overtaking here in the British GP. They are going to try to be as quiet as they can, as low-key as they can on Max Verstappen so that they don't have to give him a damn race ban. I'm waiting to see something that Max does that's egregious to the point where we know he should be penalized, but they don't. I'm waiting to see it. But yeah, McLaren failed today. McLaren failed at doing what should have been done today. 100%. McLaren, had you just launched an appeal because you should have launched an appeal, off the back of what Zach Brown said, it tells us that an appeal should have been launched. If Zach Brown says it wasn't fair and it was harsh, then there's no reason why an appeal doesn't start after that. But I waited, and we didn't do anything. And also, I would like to say that we also had, who else did we have that had some? We had somebody else that had a stiff penalty as well. And matter of fact, let me see who that was, because I want to also bring up. We'll also bring this guy up because this situation was indeed it was catastrophic for his race today. And I'm only going to bring this up because I was thinking about it earlier. But it's not necessarily rookies today had a very rough situation. I'm gonna say it. Rookies today had a very rough situation. Okay. But as it sits right here, let me go ahead and show this before we get off here. Oliver Bearman had a rough day. All right. We've already seen Appendix L, Chapter 4, Article 2, Delta, control of your car, lost control. We've seen that before. We don't need to go over Appendix L. We've went over it further so many times. All right. Turn 6 incident between 31 and 87. Says car 31, driver Esteban Ocon, driver of 87, the team representative, and reviewed the positioning marshalling system. And this was a team between the two Haas cars. Haas doing what they do best, no further action. No further action at all on Oliver Bearman. Oliver Bearman also ended up having a situation where he completely completely railroaded his car in the pit lane during, I think that was it might have been qualifying a free practice, and he just tore his car. I think it was FP3. Oliver Bearman tore his shit up in FP3. All right. And what I will say about that is he had a very rough day, and it was under the red flag, which he had that collision, and it was all bad for him. All right, he failed to comply with the red flag under the Sporting Code Article 37.6. All right, and it just kind of unraveled for him there. So it wasn't the best day for Oliver Bearman either. But on behalf of Oliver Bearman, I'm going to say this. He's not in a championship winning situation, and Oliver Bearman damn near, I mean, we all saw it. He came into the pits hot. He damn tore off his damn front wing. Bortoletto had a rough day. Hadjar had a rough day. Antonelli had a rough day. It was a rough day for a lot of people, but I think the roughest day of all was for Oscar Piastri, because you're in a race. You've literally earned the position that you're in to win it. You get a penalty that's way too harsh, flips you off the the podium from the top step. And then you get to see your team not take action in which they should have in order to try to rectify the situation. Like I said, I don't know if it gets rectified, but maybe they decrease the penalty. Maybe they don't do 10 seconds. Maybe they do 5 seconds. Does that really change anything between him and Lando? Nah, not really, right? It doesn't really. But what it does do is, let me see. If it was a 5-second time penalty, well, yeah. If it's a 5-second time penalty, then no, it doesn't really change that. But you know what it does? It does change, and we are going to talk about this situation right here with Ferrari. We got to talk about that. We're going to talk about that later on this week. But what it does do is let Piastri know that you all legitimately and genuinely are trying to run an even kill ship, and that there is little to maybe very marginal favoritism at all, because I still believe there's some. And we're going to see. I'm trying to tell you, Pia ain't no, I'm going to just say it, Pia ain't no hoe. Pia a dog. Lando Norris is not a dog like Piastri. Pia is a dog. And we've all seen Oscar perform against Max Verstappen where Lando fails. We've seen Oscar in tough situations, and he's seen cool as a cucumber. We've seen Lando Norris crumble under pressure. We've seen Lando Norris fail to compete against Max Verstappen. I'm telling you, I told y'all before this season started, Piastri gonna show him that I'm finna try to take this out y'all hands. I'm telling you, Piastri, bro, is a dog. And I'm hoping that this doesn't mentally get him off his rocker, because he was driving angry, and he should have been. I mean, not he should have been. I can understand why he was driving angry. He's not going to help him in the race. Going to kill your tires early, cause you to make a mistake you don't need to make. But I do understand why he was. If he was driving angry, I would have been pissed too. But he handled it well. He had a little emotional mishap. He's able to have that. He doesn't do much of that. And then he came back and at least verbally in the press made it right. So like I said, the most egregious thing is that Zach Brown, bro, should have launched an appeal. So we will be here to talk more about the British GP coming up weekend. We're going to talk about Ferrari. We're going to talk about Nico, likely. We may talk a bit about Williams, and definitely probably Mercedes is going to come up, during a little small break period. It's always a lot of information that starts coming out about driver movement, driver contracts, team situations, all the little petty shit that happens. So there might be some things that kind of spark up, and we end up talking about that. But yeah, McLaren, Zach Brown, y'all failed today with that. And Lando, congratulations. But I'm going to tell you right now, bro, that was a participation trophy at best with the way Oscar was driving today. And Max Verstappen just showed everybody he's not everything that these people try to prop him up to be. Max Verstappen is not everything these people try to prop him up to be. He's just not. And he's getting exposed. We talked about it in the Wolves Den. He's getting exposed. Max Verstappen is getting exposed. And off the back of that pole position, they was all, and then today they was all, shh, don't be quiet. Don't let them know we here. Just be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Yesterday they was rah, rah, rah with their chest out. Bunch of posts came out. They've been quiet for a few. And then today after the race, they was quiet as hell. Just go by. Don't let. Yeah, sit your ass down in the back. I see you. I see you trying to leave before we get ready to get the offering plates out. I see you in the back trying to leave. That's what it is. So I will tell y'all this. My bro Dreads is in the chat. And he said, any Max Verstappen stand tramp stop stamp wearing ass fans, teardrop on your face for Max Verstappen and the Dutch Orange Army. He said, come see him. He ready for all the smoke. He ready for all the smoke. Dreads is right there in the chat. He ready for all the smoke. If you want to be about that smoke and you hanging on Max Verstappen's balls and you got anything to say, Dreads is in the chat. Come see about him. You know, he ready when you want to come out. Yeah, he ready when y'all want to come out. So with that being said, we out. I'm gonna see y'all later on this week. Be safe, be healthy, drink water. Peace.